This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Sugar. Oh, honey, honey. You are my candy.
Welcome back to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. This episode all about your health with Dr. Paul Zickler and Patty Smythe from YesWellness.com. And the big bad enemy on the program, clearly identified by our producer, Dwayne Bishop, it's sugar. And then during the break, Dr. Paul leans over and says, we really haven't talked about sugar alcohols very much. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm good with that. Sounds like we're going to talk about Baileys and Grand Marnier and stuff like that. I'm all ears. What's sugar alcohol? Have I misinterpreted where we're going with this?
Well, as consumers are becoming more aware that they want to get away from, especially the high fructose corn syrup and sugars, there's still a need to have some sweeteners after we've been, addicted to sugar for so long. It's hard to go from sort of sugars into no sugars.
Yeah, so that's a tough cold turkey.
It is a tough cold turkey, and so there are ways to mitigate it. And so Patty's already mentioned you can use honey or maple syrup. They're pure products,
right?
With still lots of micronutrients in them, but you use less of them. Their alternative was stevia, which is a natural product, and it doesn't affect your insulin resistance. It's also a good choice.
Okay.
For me, it tastes a little chemically to use it by itself, but use it in baking and use it in conjunction with, if you're using it in a liquid.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes you have to use a lot less for sure. It's like 10 times sweeter than regular sugar.
Sure is.
Sugar alcohols, the two major products that you'll see on the shelves, especially in Whole Foods or Choices grocery stores, are erythritol and xylitol, and they're in a category of sugar alcohols. And again, they don't have the same effect in terms of sugar metabolism and developing insulin resistance, meaning that your cells become insensitive to the sugar into the bloodstream because it's just too much,
right,
and they just turn it off.
They're overwhelmed.
Right,
yeah.
And sugar alcohols are a good alternative.
Okay.
They do have some problems. Some people are very sensitive to them, and they get diarrhea because they are fermentable lower down in your gut,
mm-hmm,
and they produce some an environment in your intestines that will create diarrhea and some muscle cramps, and it wouldn't be very good at all for people that have irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, they're a good other option for sugar.
Well, I think it's very important, Patty, when we have conversations like this, especially and because you're working with clients all the time. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. When a person decides to make a dramatic change in his or her life, the last thing they want to do is sit down and get a scolding from a professional. Well, it's about time, that kind of stuff. You want a lot of positive reinforcement. And so on a conversation like this, I think it's important to point out the negative aspects of sugar and salt and all of those other bad-for-you stuff, but that's not good enough. We have to be able to propose alternatives. You can't just say, stop that. You got to be able to, try this. And of course, Dr. Paul's now talking about another sugar alternative possibility for some. And I think that's an important part of the discussion, don't you?
Definitely. You definitely need to find replacements or alternatives. You can take versions of what you're doing and make them healthier. And one of the other alternatives, I guess the reason I didn't mention stevia that much is I don't really like the taste of it. I can taste it in something.
Mm-hmm.
So I will, in a recipe, use something like applesauce or a banana or dates.
Sure.
So there's natural products that you can use to still give you that sweetness. Plus, they have some fiber in them, and some natural minerals and those sorts of things. So you're just improving the quality
mm-hmm.
of some of the things, and you're still enjoying it. And one of the things I just wanted to piggyback on what Dr. Zickler said about changing your palate, as you make healthier choices and you do some of these substitutions, just being aware and reducing the amount of sweetener, whatever it is you're choosing.
Right. That's a great start, isn't it?
Is just reducing it a little, and you will notice a change in your palate. And then you'll go to a friend's house who made a cake, and you'll go, wow, this is sweet. And I guarantee you will. If you stick with it, you will change how sensitive you are, especially to sugar and salt.
Okay, now let's and we don't have a lot of time left, and so this leaves the door wide open for our next conversation. I'm already looking forward to it. But one of the we talked about salt and salty foods, and a lot of salty foods are in prefabricated foods, like those hamburgers, those frozen burger patties, or all of those lasagnas, and the whole frozen food aisle is full of salt. And the reason we go to that aisle so frequently is convenience. We're busy. We're just always running out of time, and so all a part of this wellness empowerment business that you two are involved in has to do with finding ways to make time, so that something that'll take you 5 minutes in the microwave, you can take 15 minutes and do the fresh version of and enjoy the results even more, right? It's getting around the convenience thing, and that's an easy trap to fall into, isn't it?
Very much so. And it's when you're making, there are lots of things that we can actually do really quickly to make healthy meals for our family. And for example, one of them is a crock pot.
Yes.
Lots of people have crock pots. Dust it off. It's in the back of a cupboard somewhere.
Got one for our wedding.
Yeah.
Used it once. It's still in the closet.
Pull it out. I've got lots of recipes for you for that one.
And they're great,
And
too.
they're great. And so there are things, we've just forgotten about them.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to reinvent the wheel. We just kind of almost need to go back a little bit and do things the way we used to. But we do need to take a little bit more time, and making sure that you have support for yourself during that transition period. Really important to remember. And when life gets in the way and you get too busy, that's fine. Just go back and restart.
Right.
It's not a problem. You're still further ahead than you were before you started.
And that's important too, isn't it, Dr. Paul? If you fall off the wagon, so what? Get right back up there and keep on going forward. Don't sabotage yourself.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is, you can use that 80% rule in another way. And one of the things is that 80% of the time I eat as well as I can. But the other times, I'm going to have some fries and a burger downtown at Mr. Fat Burger, and I really enjoy it.
Sure.
Fresh fries, homemade. I mean, I can't avoid them, but I don't have them all the time.
Exactly.
And once I do have them, once in a month or whatever, I enjoy it.
And
I'm not beating myself over the head.
And then it's a treat.
Yes.
It's just a little thing.
Yeah.
And because.
But I don't. You know what? I don't crave them all the time.
Sure.
But I really enjoy them when I have them.
Lots more information. Great information. Both of my guests blog routinely on yeswellness.com. Wonderful links to all sorts of other interesting articles and places to go to learn a lot more. Yeswellness.com is you were talking about empowerment, both of you. It's a tremendous website to empower yourself and your capacity to understand how to get better and enjoy life. Just have a little more fun. Wouldn't that be great? Mm-hmm. We're out of time. Thank you so much for being with us again. Dr. Paul Zikler, great to see you again.
Oh, thank you very much for having
Patty
me.
Smythe, thank you so much. And again, we appreciate time out from your busiest month of the year. Very kind of you to come by.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time?
Definitely.
Excellent. Okay. Until then, have a great night.